my goodness. This is pilot time. Yes. Thank you all for joining me with Live to Be Recognized. By who? By me, Ty. Thank you all for joining. This is the pilot, so I don't consider this episode one. Episode one is going to be feeding your ego, which definitely tune into that next because it is up. So that is considered episode one of Live to Be Recognized. First and foremost, like I said, thank you all for tuning in, for choosing to select to play this, to listen to your girl Ty. Like, that really means a lot to me, especially because Live to Be Recognized is something that has been in the vault of my mind, the vault of my, I'm going to say in my heart for years. I've been running away from it. It's something that I know that it's here to help bring positivity and help people think in different ways of living, because let me tell you, it's been a journey for me and it's still a journey, and I am here to help share the tools that have helped me and maybe helps others and can help you see things in a different light. So let's get a little more into it. Live to be recognized. When you first hear that and you think of the name, I'm sure you're like, where does that come from? What's the foundation of it? So let's take it way back. Let's go all the way back to high school, actually, freshman year. Live to be recognized is a quote that has been embodied. I have embodied like for decades now. It's something that I came up with, honestly, just out of nowhere. I'm not even going to say some deep, long thing, how I came up with the quote, Live to Be Recognized. It's just something that popped into my head one day. And I'm like, you know what? That's how I'm going to treat life. I'm going to live to be recognized, meaning like, I'm not just going to fall into the crowd. Like, I am going to live literally to be recognized. That's exactly what it meant. Nothing deeper, nothing, more layered than that, just to let you guys know. So I'm not going to all of a sudden say some deep meaning to live to be recognized at this point in time in high school. There wasn't. I just really liked the quote. It helped also being a teenager in school, having that in the back of my head and helping like with my confidence, because I was very, very confident growing up in high school. I didn't have like anxiety or anything like that, which is, I say that to say that that's something that comes within me later on in life, and one of the reasons why I have created Live to Be Recognized. So going back to that quote, created it in high school, 9th grade year. My friends know me for that quote, to the fact that one of my best friends made me a tote in art class that says Live to Be Recognized, which I still have. I also got it tatted on me when I was in college. When I was 19 years old, it's tatted on my ankle, Live to Be Recognized. It had the same reasoning that it had in high school. Like, I'm not falling through the cracks. I'm not just someone in the crowd. I'm living to be recognized. But let's fast forward to current day. I knew I wanted to do a podcast in which I can combine like what I've been through in life and how I was able to pull myself out of like depression and anxiety and things like that, and learned how to be a positive person, even though from the outside looking in, I seem like I've been a positive person all my life, which for the most part I have been, but I was wearing a mask in a lot of these times, and how to figure out new tools in order to maneuver through life so that I am living high vibrational. Like, I know like that's a trend, being high vibrational and things like that, and that's like a new thing, but it really is something that people can achieve and people can get there. It's living at what makes you feel good and what makes you happy. And and once you're at that point in life, and not saying that I'm there, like it's tools, it's like exercising. I'm learning how to get there and I can feel it. And I wanted to share that with the world, but I'm also not going to just, talk about this every single episode. It's going to tie back to that. But I just want people to think outside of their normal way of thinking. I want you to be able to leave my podcast and be like, hey, I kind of learned something new there. This was pretty interesting. Maybe let me try applying that, because just to give you guys a foundation to live to be recognized, like I said, presently, that is what it means to me. Living for yourself, living for your true happiness, and enjoying each day to the best of your ability. And so as far as what I want to do with my podcast, what can you expect? There will be guests. I am going to have a YouTube component at some point where you will have visuals. I basically kind of seem like your self-help best friend, hanging out with you, chatting, and giving you some advice, and also making you aware of like what I went through. I consider myself a self-help coach because I'm not necessarily telling you what to do. I'm giving you guys tools and things that not only did I learn from myself but also from others, and I've done a lot of reading and also in the backgrounds of what I studied in school and things like that I want to share. So you take those tools and you apply it however way you want to self help yourself. So that's what I consider myself, a self-help coach. With that being said, like I said, I want you to leave my episodes just enjoying life and enjoying your life and figuring out ways to help you better enjoy your life with more clarity and positivity. And I know that may sound so cliche and so like, okay, like that's not reality though. I understand that and I know that, but we also make our own reality. So if you want to choose to be negative and you want to choose to majority of your life be controlled by negative thoughts as well as, and I'm firsthand to say it, anxiety can control a lot and makes things around you a lot harder than what it really is. I was tired of that. So the point I'm getting to is that you can choose to live better and choose to live more positive. It just takes some time, just like exercising and applying these things and applying, not even just stuff from Live to Be. I want you to go out there, if you're not already out there, and figure out what works for you. You're going to feel it and you're going to see it. And it's great. It's great. It's great. I consider myself a spiritual person with a twist. Because you're going to see, I bring out my humor. I'm a very silly person. I like to bring out my jokes here and there, as well as I'm very in tune, with nature and with the world around me, but I'm also a realist at the same time because I do understand where we live. You know what I mean? You got to be a realist because you got to survive at the end of the day. So once again, I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to keep saying this throughout the episode because this is a long time coming for me. And this kind of leads to the second half of this pilot. When did Live to become more of a tangible thing for me to want to pursue? I would say it's something I've been wanting to do for quite some time. For those that don't know, I previously did have a podcast, which is very different. It was myself and my best friend. We had a comedy series podcast. It was really fun and definitely enjoyed it. And at that point in time, I realized that podcasting was something that I truly enjoyed doing. We created this podcast prior to the pandemic, but then we launched during 2020. And it had a nice little run. It had season 1 as well as bonus seasons. And so very, very different from what Live to Be. But during that time, I realized that this is something I truly enjoy doing. I enjoy chatting. And I do this on the normal. Like those that are close to me know I love giving advice. I love making people feel good. Like I love, when I talk to people and I open up a different viewpoint and I see it like click to them, like, what, Ty? Yeah, you're right. It makes me feel good inside. Also, when I've had people say you talk like a philosopher, every time you say stuff, it's kind of like poetic in ways. And honestly, I'm just being me. I am a Sagittarius, so Saggies, we just say what we say on the top of our dome. Not saying that's always good, but I do believe if you have something positive to say, then say it. You never know how you may change someone's day. You'd be surprised by even something as simple as a compliment. And you say it to someone and they didn't expect it. And they're like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. That have made my day. Or just by saying something like, your hair looks nice. Or even like, I like the way your tone is. Like, you feel vibrant. Anything like that. It really, you never know what a person is going through and how much that can change their day. So when I say as far as being a Sagittarius and being blunt, I'm also blunt in that way too. If I have something positive to say and something I want to say as a compliment, even if the social cue may be off, I'm going to say it. And I believe if more people really just kind of did that more often, we'll have a few more happier people on this planet, you know? Um, so let's go a little bit more deeper into this. Let's get real now. What made me come to create and live to be recognized? I went through a lot. A lot in a short amount of time. I would say I've been going through like a spiritual journey all my life. I've been raised pretty spiritual growing up, but I never leaned into it, I guess you would say. And so I finally was like, had no choice but to lean into it. And people that choose to, I would say you don't even choose to go on a spiritual journey. It chooses you. So to make a long story short, 2019, right before the pandemic, I got out of a 5-year relationship. I decided to pull the end to it, but it became a mutual decision once I brought up the discussion. So there was no bad blood or anything there. And so I was with this person for 4.5, 5 years. And during those stages of my life, I didn't realize that I was stagnating myself because I was very much, you know, pouring myself into this person, not losing myself. I didn't lose myself, but pouring myself into this person. And not that they asked for it, but that was just who I am as a person. I didn't realize it stagnated me so much. So once the relationship ended, I was already on my journey. Like I was listening to little, I guess you could say, excerpts, positive excerpts every day. Because although, you know, I was checked out of the relationship for quite some time and I knew this was coming, when it actually happens and you try to maneuver every day differently, because now you're in a whole different life, right? It's kind of hard. And I didn't expect it to be as hard as it was, especially because, like I said, I was checked out for a while. So in order to help me ease through my days, I would listen to motivational people on YouTube. I'm a big YouTube head, and it wasn't anyone in particular. I would just see what was on my algorithm and see it. And I'm like, okay, then if it's on my algorithm, it was meant for me to listen to. So I click on it. It'd be like maybe 5 to 10 minute things, like Les Brown type of stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm listening to that stuff every day, not realizing that that was like kind of like the opening to like my spiritual awakening. And then boom, 2020 happens, right? February, March, the pandemic time, quarantine. And that is, make a long story short with that, I got COVID 3 times ultimately. I lost my hair. I had to get cortisone shots. I lost my hair. I was on antibiotics for like 6 months, and it was just like, wow, that was a lot. It made me pay attention to my body more, and it was something, yeah. I'm blessed to be here. I'm happy to be here, and thank you for that. With that being said, I also was dealing with now being a newly single person and in a world that's so different. So also trying to do the dating thing, doing the online dating thing, dealing with people that are just like, what the heck is out there? And you realize how selfish people are and how messed up individuals can be and how selfish people can be. And I was dealing with a lot of that. I've seen people close to me who were also dating, who were dealing with that. And even just not even dating, just the pandemic brought out the true colors of a lot of folks. So with that being said, I started viewing people from a different standpoint, because I'm someone, I always give people the benefit of the doubt first. Like I lead with that first before like being like, nah, I'm good off of that person. Then I realized that some people actually have to prove it to you first before you give them that benefit of the doubt. And I learned that the hard way during these quarantine time. And I'm grateful for it. When I was going through it, I was like, nah, this ain't really, like, this can't be real. People are like this. But, you know, I didn't realize, like, I was very naively living, being in this warped world. And when I say a warped world, like when I was involved with somebody, I was very much in my own little world and not really opening my eyes to like the reality out there when it comes to how individuals are. So that's going through quarantine, right? And at the end of 2020, unfortunately, I did lose my sister unexpectedly. One of my sisters, I have three. And so, with that being said, that was just a lot because it was unexpected. And it was something that made me view life differently. I have been around deaths before. I come from a very large family. So, this wasn't the first, but this was the first that it's like, wow, like, when and if I have children, they're never going to meet their sister. I mean, to me, their aunt. Like, she only knows me up until this point of life. But I'm like, she's always watching me, you know? But I'm not going to go too deep into that. But that was enough to really shake things up. And I would say at that point on is when a different level of me going deeper into my journey evolved. Started reading a lot more books. And prior to even 2019, I was somebody that was into, like, I read The Alchemist, I read Motivation Manifesto, I read The Four Agreements, I read all of this before 2019. I was just always interested in this stuff. I studied anthropology in undergrad, grad school sociology is what my master's is in. So I've been into all of this, you know, and wanting to know more and help people and stuff. But I would say, like, after my sister passing, I got a little bit more deeper into it. So now the world's starting to open up because now we're going into 2021. And, you know, we're going back into work. We're going back into our offices. We're going back into the way we maneuver life. And, yeah, that trying to deal with what I gained during insight during the pandemic with maneuvering back to everyday life, with also, you know, seeing someone at this time pretty seriously. It was a lot going on for me, like a lot trying to get into what is life, what is my life, what is this new beginning, and I created anxiety. Prior to this, I don't remember me having anxiety, but when I look back at stuff that I like wrote when I was in 6th grade, because I love writing and I've kept a lot of that stuff. I wrote a poem about fear. I wrote a poem about being like the bravest and stuff like that. So I'm like, I may not have had anxiety, but I was definitely a scary kid at points, but whatever. Anyway, the point I'm getting to is that it made me realize that throughout quarantine, because of what I went through, my mind started creating scenarios to help protect me out of other scenarios. And that's anxiety at the end of the day. Your anxiety tries to protect you and get you ready and be like, okay, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Okay, it wasn't that bad. And I never had this issue before. I was shy at times growing up, but never to this magnitude. So I did get a therapist for a year, and she did help me a lot. And then she ended up, this is how the universe works. She ended up switching firms. And I was like, you know what? Let me take this time to maybe explore another therapist, or maybe I'll just chill or whatever. And that leads us to now March 2022. So if you're following the timeline, I know I went a little all over the place. December going into January 2021 is when like the world started opening up a little bit more. I have a therapist now. So throughout this whole 2021 year, I'm working with a therapist. A lot of things are moving, changing in my life. And March 2022, it was April 2022, I had an accident, and that accident forever changed my life. I was on a hike, and unfortunately, I was not hydrated. Please stay hydrated, guys, and make sure you eat. It's very, very important. And I thank God for the people that was with me that day. Amazing folks. Amazing folks. And shout out to y'all. You know who you are. They really held it down. And that moment when I had the accident, because I had to get 7 staples in my head. Okay, this wasn't just a slight little accident. I forever, ever changed me, and I'm grateful for it. And that is the Ty you have today. So from that moment on, I kind of retracted from hanging out like as much as I used to with people. I was more grounded, focusing in on myself. Not that I didn't hang around people. I did. I hung around the same people, involved in a relationship, and just doing what I need to do to figure out who am I again. And that has been the journey. And that is what led me to creating this podcast. It brought me back to square one because I knew this was something I wanted to do, but I kept pushing it away. When I was trying to think of a name, one of my best friends who knew me from high school, because rewinding to the beginning of the podcast, like I was saying, Live to Be Recognized is a quote from when I was young. My best friend was like, why not name it Live to Be? Live to Be Recognized. Like, hello, like that's been your thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, like duh. Like, and I came up with all these other names, but just saying, like, this is something that's been a part of me forever. And like, that was like a no-brainer. So I'm like, cool, Live to Be Recognized. But I didn't have like a color. The bee wasn't even part of it at all, like the honeybee. Now that's another thing. Those that know me know I love honeybees. Honeybees is just something that I loved ever since I was in, once again, high school. But it wasn't a reasoning like deep or anything. I liked honeybees because, all right, guys, this is going to take, you guys are all on this spiritual journey, but this is going to make you laugh. I wanted to open up a strip club named Honeybees, and there's a whole story behind it. I have a whole layout how I was going to do honeybees and stuff, which I'm not going to divulge here because that was a business plan for real. But anyways, that's why I loved honeybees. And I was like, oh, Live to Be, I could put the honeybee in there some kind of way. But I never really looked into what was the spiritual meaning of honeybees. And when you Google that, honeybee symbolize diligence, sociability, purity, cleanliness, wisdom, and creativity. So those are all really great meanings. So it just kind of all worked together. And the color scheme is literally like a really nice light color scheme. So yes, that is where the bee connects, but it is a honeybee, not a bumblebee. We use the bumblebee emojis because they don't have a honeybee emoji, but that's exactly how all of this came to be. So I did want to add that humor in because, you know, hearing about the accident, and I can definitely talk more about it, and that's going to be its own segment a whole nother day. But just to get you guys to understand where I'm at right now. I love reading books. I love reading books, especially about humans in general, about spirituality, about, you know, just basically getting yourself to the highest living for yourself at the end of the day. And that's everyone's goal here, right? We're not here for a long time, so we're here to enjoy it the best way we can. And enjoy it to the best of our ability and what we deem as the best of our ability. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in and taking this ride with me. I'm so excited and grateful for you guys being here. Like I said, please be on the lookout. There will be eventually visuals with this, so going on YouTube as well as guests. And I'm really excited to have my guests and talk about their journey. And, you know, I'm just here to make you guys smile. I hope you leave my episodes feeling, you know, good and having a different point of view, a layered point of view. And I do want to let you guys know at any point in time that you listen to my episode, even though like they will be listed in chronological order, I believe that you were meant to listen to whatever episode you're listening to. So let's say it goes out of order and you miss a couple of weeks and you're diving in and it's episode 5 or, 10 or whatever the case may be. You were meant to hear those episodes, but obviously go back and listen to the rest. But once again, thank you guys so much and feel free to. Thank you again for tuning in. You can follow me on Instagram at live2be, LIVE2 like the number 2 and B with an underscore at live2be, letter B. Or you can email me at Ty Rakel, which is RAKEL @gmail.com, and that's how you can connect with me. I'm looking forward to tuning in and seeing everything that you guys have to say. Thank you again.